great friends, I'm Miss Connie from the Hopewell branch, and today we're going to make a snowy owl craft. And I'm going to show you what that looks like. I made it out of a pine cone. And there's our snowy owl. And at the very end of the video, I'm going to share with you some of my favorite owl-themed picture books that you can take out from the library. So make sure you watch to the end of the video. And before we get started, I wanted to tell you an interesting fact about owls. Did you know that an owl's eye color varies depending on what time of day it likes to hunt? So an owl that likes to hunt at twilight has orange eyes, and an owl that likes to hunt at nighttime has dark eyes. But the snowy owl likes to hunt in the daytime, and the snowy owl's eyes are yellow. Now, let's get started on our craft. For this craft, you'll need the following supplies: 1 pine cone, a paper towel tube, 2 cotton balls, paper to make eyes, 1 chenille stem for wings, white non-toxic school glue, and child-friendly scissors. So here's the finished project. This is our snowy owl, and I wanted you to see what it looks like before we get started. There are not too many parts. I think it will be easy for you to do this project at home. This is our pine cone. This particular pine cone that I had on hand has this stem on the bottom. And I tried to cut the stem off to make a nice flat bottom, but I was unable to get it off. So I tried to think, well, what can I do for a stand? And I went back to my trusty paper towel roll, and I cut about 1 inch off the end and just set my pine cone in there. And that was big enough to accommodate that little bit of a stem on the end there. You're going to want to pick a pine cone that is open and not closed. All those petals are called scales, and pine cones actually do open and close, and you want to make sure it's open so that you have a place to put your cotton balls when you're making your snowy owl. I did try to find a pine cone that was rounder with a flat bottom, and I went outside in the yard and was looking around, but I couldn't find anything. So I went with what I had, and I think it turned out fine. So now we're going to make our snowy owl snowy. So you're going to take a cotton ball, and you're going to pull off tiny pieces of the cotton ball, and we're going to tuck them into all the openings of the pine cone. So just little tiny pieces, and tuck them in, tuck, tuck, tuck. And this is what's going to give that nice fluffy appearance for your snowy owl. So I just kept doing this till I filled it all the way in, and I'm going to just fast forward to the next part, which is my completed snowy owl. Just remember to double check your pine cone and make sure you've tucked the cotton into all of the holes all the way around your snowy owl. Now we're going to take the stand, and we're going to set our pine cone in the stand so that it's sitting up. Remember, if you're able to find a better pine cone with a flat bottom, you might not need the stand. Okay, we're going to take a look at our other parts here, and we're going to put the eyes on. So I cut the eyes out of yellow paper, and I cut the pupils out of black paper, and I used a punch for the pupils, just because they're so tiny, they're hard to cut. But you can also just cut them with the scissors. You could actually cut them out of white paper and color them if you don't have colored paper. That works for the owl's eyes. And remember, we have yellow eyes because snowy owls like to hunt in the daytime. And now we're going to take our white craft glue, school glue that's non-toxic, and we're going to glue our pupils to our eyes. And then we're going to glue them to the pine cone. So I like to make my pupils look toward the side. That's just a personal preference thing. I kind of like my owls to look like they're looking away. And we're going to actually put more glue right on the scales of the pine cone. So you just have to look for a nice spot to do that where you think they'll look good. And then we're going to glue them right to the pine cone. So this takes, it's a little bit tricky because they're tiny and you're not actually gluing them to a flat surface. You're gluing them to the side of the scale. So, but if you play with it a little bit, you'll be fine. It does give them some dimension that the eyes kind of pop out of the snowy owl like that. Okay, almost ready, and yes. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. So the next step is to add the chenille stems. So I have one chenille stem. This is optional, but I do think the white chenille stem does look like it fits for the wings of the snowy owl. So I'm going to cut it in half. Now you might need a grown-up to do that because you're cutting through a wire. I don't want anybody to get hurt. And then whenever I cut the chenille stems, I always tuck the edge because it is sharp. So we don't want anybody to get scratched. So I tuck the ends, roll it over just a little bit, and then we're ready to shape our owl wings. So I'm going to bend it in half again, and then I just twisted the other ends, the two free ends together, and we're going to shape it and set it on one of the scales. And then we'll do the same thing with the other side. Bend it and shape it and twist it. Make sure you tuck those sharp edges in, and we'll set it on the other side. And now our snowy owl has two snowy wings. Do you love owls? I love owls. Here are some favorite owl books you can check out from the library. Snowy Owl Invasion, Tracking an Unusual Migration. A historically large eruption of snowy owls during the winter of 2013-2014 brought them across the eastern U.S. and farther south than usual. Scientists used this opportunity to attach GPS tracking devices to some snowy owls to increase understanding of their winter behavior and migration. "Wow," said the owl. A curious little owl decides to stay awake to find out how the things he sees at night look during the daytime. Night owl. A baby owl flies through the night listening carefully to different sounds as he tries to find mommy owl. Little owl's night. Little owl enjoys a lovely night in the forest visiting his friend the raccoon, listening to the frogs croak and the crickets chirp, and watching the fog that hovers overhead. Owl babies. 3 owl babies whose mother has gone out in the night try to stay calm while she is gone. Little owl lost. While his mother is away finding food, a newborn owl falls out of his nest and anxiously tries to find her, receiving help from various forest animals. Good night, owl. Owl takes drastic measures to have a good night sleep. Did you make the snowy owl craft? If so, please post a picture of your owl creation on social media and tag us at MCLSNJ. And we hope to see you back on our YouTube channel soon. Bye.